Internet, and welcome to another very special episode of My Cool Friends. We go live every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also do very fun trivia games, as some of you have been seeing and some of you have joined us. But if you are loving this content, if you are loving and want to be part of the very special Cool Friends, you can go join our Facebook group. You can follow us at any of these wonderful social links over at the Platinum Mastermind, Twitter, and all those other fun things. But now we have a very lovely special guest and a indeed cool, a doubly cool friend coming back, returning guest. What is that? I'm doubly what's a plural cool friend? A tri cool friend? A cool eye friend?
Yeah, a cool eye. Or do cool.
A dose cool.
Dose coolio.
Dose cool. Yes. My name is Ben. I was invited to the Cool Kids table, so I made my own. She is a brand strategist. She, over the course of the whiplash year of 2020, she not only built the foundation for her brand strategy, her branding business, but she also took that business and skyrocketed it to a six-figure business. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome, with homemade sound effects, Miss... I do need a button. I need a button for that sound. Help me welcome Miss Carrie Thomas-Omáur.
I'm the sound effects for myself.
I'm gonna put that on my phone. Like, that's the only sound I need on my phone. Like, Carrie, thank you so much for coming back once again to the Cool Friends.
No, thank you so much for having me. Like this, like you have some heavy hitters, so thank you for letting me grace your stage.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Carrie, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty with my stick microphone.
Oh Lord, I'm nervous. Let me get my my lip gloss micro.
This is really match game now. So I said here in the introduction that you, in the year 2020, which was I'd say 2020, and it gives everyone PTSD. But you started your branding business, and you went from starting that branding business and then having your very first six-figure year. And you said, like, we had our own little pre-show talk, and you said, like, a six-figure year. Some people are having like six-figure months. And I'm like, Carrie, shut up.
I'm realizing that I'm way too hard on myself, so I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah, so I must ask you, Carrie, how did you, in the span of what was a colossal year, have your very first six-figure year?
How did we do it? It's funny because like sometimes I have to like ask myself the same question, like what was that? But what it was, I think, is I doubled down on relationships. So I really love connecting with people. I've always been that way. And I always tell people, like, if you're going to start your business, you want to do something, you want to be able, like, whatever your driving marketing techniques should be something that you already love doing before you become a business. So for me, my relationship with me creating relationships with people was always what I always loved to do, because I'm normally like, I'm a social butterfly. So I'm a social butterfly. So I love meeting new people. I love being able to figure out like what people are doing, why they're doing the things they're doing, especially because I also like, I'm a social butterfly with a degree in humanistic psychology. So then I'm always like, I want to meet the people. I want to know why they're doing the things that they're doing. Like, give me the things. So that's what happened. Like last year, it was just like meeting people, creating really amazing relationships, and just saying like, I'm not selling. I don't want to sell people, because I've never been a person like, hey, buy my stuff. I want people to one, see the value in it themselves, and a lot of times what would happen, I would just be telling them, like, hey, I'm working on this, and they're like, hold up, Carrie, that's amazing. And I'm like, really? I'll just tell you what I was doing. They're like, are you selling it? I was like, yeah, I'm trying to put something together. And they're like, can I be the first one to sign on? And I was like, well, I don't know the price for it. And like literally one of my clients, she was like, how about let's do it for, like, she was like, I'll give you $2,000 down and we'll do $1,500 a month. I was like,
your client said this.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's okay, I'll take it. And in the back of my head, I'm like, literally in the back of my head, I'm like, I'll probably do this maybe for like $500. I was like, I'll probably do it. Yeah, $500. Feel like that should be okay. Like that's not gonna be anything too crazy. And then she says that, I'm just like, and then more people kept saying it.
Let's take a pause there for a moment. Like a lot of times, like I've even talked on like many times on this show before, like that first time where like you a lot of times like we have to say the number, and I'm like, oh crap, like now I have to say the big number. But you were in a situation where like the other person said the number.
Yeah.
And did you ever have a time where like she said the number, oh crap, that's bigger than what I was thinking? Did you have a moment where you were like, I don't think I'm worthy of that number, or like whatever negative thought may have leaked into your mind?
Yeah, because like literally when I did it, when she said it, I was like, luckily like me and her were really close. Like she's like me, like she was like me and her really close.
Cool.
And I was like, really? Like that? And she was like, Carrie, like this is gold. She was like, sign me up. And I'm like,
wow.
Okay, all right. No. And like, so it's funny because it's around this time, it was literally around this time last year is when we started our agency. And I always say that I never came into this business thinking I was going to do an agency. Like it was never something that was on my mind, because I know there's a lot of people that like, they'll see like the ads and be like, oh, start an agency. That was never really on my agenda. What I wanted to do is I wanted to sell digital products. I wanted to sell templates, because I thought that was going to be the thing. And I remember...
I remember the version of Carrie that was doing this.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So I remember it was March 6th. Actually, it was... When was it? It was...
March 6th, 2020?
2 weeks before March 6th, 2020. I go to my VA at the time, and I was like, Jean, I want us to put together a template set. Because I feel like what people are missing is the fact that they can't be consistent on social media. They don't have their social media is like all over the place. Like nothing's optimized. Like everything's just crazy. I was like, I want us to create templates so they can have consistency. I want them to have like their slide decks and their social, like all the things. I was like, can we do it? She was like, I don't know, Carrie. I was like, we're going to do it. So literally, like, I probably was up that whole 2 weeks, because like, it was probably like, we probably created about 1,000 graphics within those 2 weeks. Yeah. It was like, if you see like what's in those bundles, like it's thick, like it's thick. So we create like 1,000 graphics, and I was like, literally the whole time I created, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to change the world. Like this is what everybody's been missing their whole life. And I'm just so excited that I'm the person here that's going to share with them this amazing gift of boxed and branded. Because in my head, I was like, it's going to be boxed and branded, your brand boxed up, ready for you to implement. That was the thing.
I remember these calls in Cassie's Zoom room. It's like we're selling a box and branded.
Yeah. So like,
please continue the story.
Yeah. So I'm selling box and branded, and it's March 6th, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're about to launch, we're about to do the things. I'm ready. Like I was posting teasers. I was doing like little walkthrough videos, all this stuff, right? And on the day of the sale, nobody bought. And I was like, well, actually one person bought, and it was one of my friends. So I didn't even count it, because he was like, here, of course I'll buy something.
So you've got this like thing, like we've been talking, one of the first things you said was like, you got to do something that you love, that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And you know, like, as you've pointed out, like, thank you for the compliment to my show. I've had a lot of people on here that, like, they would all say the same thing. We're all doing what we love.
Yeah.
But now you're in this moment where you've done exactly that advice. You've have something that you genuinely care about.
Mm-hmm.
And now no one's there.
Yeah. It's just like crickets. It's like cricket.
Where is everybody?
Yeah, where is everybody, right?
So describe to me that emotion in that moment, and also, more importantly, how did you get over that hump?
So I remember in that moment, I was just so, like, I was so crushed. Like, and it's funny because I remember, like, I told my husband, I was like, so literally all we have to do is sell like 50 of these a month, and we'll be golden. And he's like, all right, cool. Like, I was like, to be honest, I was like, we'll probably like do like this is before the event they happened. I was like, probably do like 200 a month because like this is fire. So when I didn't make any sales, like, I was just so depressed because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna have to go tell Emmanuel that this did not work. And all the hours and hours, like, sleep, like, I was like, I have a whole bed and I was like sleeping on the futon, like trying to put my mind in like pain of like being able to implement all these things in the time. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to like Cassie's groups and telling, like, I don't know why nobody's buying. Like, nobody's buying it. I don't understand. Like, I have all the things, everything's laid out. And what started happening, the more I kept showing them, like, I would show them, like, I would be like, I would do the videos, the walkthroughs, all the stuff that Cassie kept saying. She's like, you know, do a walkthrough, do this, do that. And I'm like, I'm doing all the things nobody's buying. And then all of a sudden, people start reaching out to me and they were like, oh my gosh, Carrie, I loved your templates. I'm like, oh, somebody's gonna buy. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And they're like, I love your templates, but is there a way that you can do custom work?
Oh.
And I'm like, so you don't want the templates though? Like, the thousands of templates that I create, you don't want that? They're like, yeah, no, I love it, Carrie. Like, Carrie, it's great, it's beautiful, but I would love to see what you could do with something custom. And I'm like, okay. And it's funny because
so let's pause here for a minute, because you're telling me a story and I'm seeing this as a positive, like, oh, hold on a moment. But you, in the moment that this is happening, you're seeing this as a negative. Like, yeah.
Because I was stuck on like the hours and like the 2 weeks sleeping on the futon, sleeping hours, like an hour, or maybe 2 hours a night. That's all I was at. Like, I spent hours. I need to recoup the time, because you know how they always say, you know, like, you can sell like templates forever, but you have to be able to figure out like how to recoup the time, like in the payment.
Your time is the most valuable asset you have.
Recoup the time, like, so that's what I'm thinking. So I'm like, so when they came to me, he said that, he was like, you know, how much do you charge? And I was like, so I remember calling. It's funny because I called a couple people. I called Cassie, I called Lindsay, and I was like, how much should I charge for this? For like custom stuff? And they're like, I don't know. And they were like, well, what do you think? I was like, well, I could do it for maybe like $397, $497. So I think I started like $397 for like a cut, like literally everything that was in there, but just custom. That's what it was. It was everything that was in the template, in the bundle, but just custom. And the more that people got it, they were like, oh my gosh, Carrie, this is amazing. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I can do all the things with it. And then I'm like, and then I was noticing, I was like, man, like, this, we might have something to do with this. So then I was like, I need to hire, and this is May. This is like at the beginning of May. And I was like, I need another graphic designer, like, because I can't put out all these graphics by myself. You
can't do everything on your own.
Yeah, I can't do everything on my own anymore. So we hired, like, I remember we hired like a videographer, another graphic designer. At that moment, we hired them at that moment, and literally, like, the agency was being born of people just coming to us asking for like custom work. And I think at that moment we had got to, our bundles were $697, and they stayed $697 pretty much all year. And
so how'd you figure out this price? Because you had this moment, and we've talked about this a few times, where like, people came to you and it's like, oh, hey, what can you do for, what's the price on this, Carrie? Well, crap. I don't know. I didn't think I'd get this far.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like I think sometimes that's why like I'm always like I don't know like it's one of our potential clients. She made a comment. She was like that she fell it like she fell into being a 7-figure entrepreneur, and sometimes I feel like I actually fell into being like a 6-figure entrepreneur because like I just had really amazing people around me that I would be able to and that goes back to relationships that I would ask the question like, hey, like how much would you pay for this? And like they would be like, here, I'll probably pay $1,500. I'm like, okay, I'm not ready there. I'm not there yet. I was like, I can do half. So that's when we did like the $697 because I was like, I'm not there. I was like, I can do half. So we did it the $697, and right now I think it's $897. But the thing is, like, I kept noticing what it was I noticed, especially when I start being really particular about the bundles, I start noticing what people actually needed to launch their things. So let's say they had a summit. Like, what was the thing they actually needed to be able to launch it? What was the things that they actually needed for like if they were doing a show or a podcast? What was the thing they actually needed to be able to launch it and put it out there? Even down to what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the challenge. Like, what is the thing they actually need to do the challenge?
Right.
Like what are the things that actually need to be able to launch it effectively to be able to show up? And because the thing is, what I used to get irritated with around that time is I would see people use the same graphics when they were promoting their challenge, and it would be the same one graphic every day that they would post it, and I'm like, why? Like that's all your team could create was one graphic. Like they can create more. Like they can create countdowns to say, hey, you know, make sure you're right. Like they didn't create anything to like build pressure. They didn't create anything to like show the different facets of like what you do to create like these agitators. Like they weren't doing that, and I was just like,
the rundown of time.
Yeah, I was like, why wasn't all these things like in place? And especially, it's always in place in ads, but I was like in organic, I felt like it was missing. So that's when we got into that, and so we were doing launch bundles, and we were doing social media bundles for people. But the clients that came to us for social media bundles, they would come to us to be like, okay, Carrie, I got my quote cards, I got my Facebook covers, I got all my things, I'm ready to go produce content. And I'm like, cool, go forth. And then they would come back and they were like, man, Carrie, I don't know what kind of content I should create. They're like, I got all the assets.
I'm gonna write my exam. And
they would be like, I don't know what to write. Like, what do you think I should do with this? And I'm like, create your content. Like, create your buckets and like start framing stuff out. And they're like, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know how to do that. And I'm just like, it's funny because I'm like, y'all are like 7-figure entrepreneurs, y'all are coaches, y'all help multiple people, y'all have content just dripping out of your sweat.
The shoemakers' kids don't have shoes.
Like, so I'm like, I'm just like, come on. And so like literally like I was mapping, it's funny, like I was mapping out content one time with one of my clients, and we were putting together what is now the list of launch, or we call our L3 method. And in the list of launch, it was all about like, because especially when it comes to like our agency stuff, it's always like preparing people for like their launch or their next big thing or things like that. And I remember we were talking about it, and I was doing I was mapping her content out, and she was like, Carrie, like, this is good. It's funny, I tell you, all my clients are amazing. Like, I love my clients to death. I'm so grateful for them because like they are the ones that kind of get me together, because I'm always like, do.
That's good, because I've talked to so many people that have like, and we've heard stories as well of people that have lived in the opposite of that, where it's like, I hate what I do. I wish I've signed myself into a life that I hate.
Yeah, and it's like my clients are like, Carrie, like the way you map that out is people don't, and it's funny, they're like, people don't map out content like that. People don't look at content creation like that. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, and I'm over here like, it makes pretty much sense to me. And they were like, no, because everybody, like, all everybody's doing right now is just trying to do the Gary Vee thing. But the thing is, like, if everybody's doing the Gary Vee thing, then Gary,
and then no one is Gary V.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, like, it was cool when it was only like one or two people doing Gary V. Now it's everybody, so now you're just like, okay, here's another quote card, video and audiogram.
Yeah, I was watching a video from someone actually on this exact topic. Is that there was, I forget who it is. So, cause I didn't think I'd be talking about this today. But someone who is actually, there's a YouTube channel that's actually creating less content. He's like only posting like once or twice a week on his YouTube channel, and he's actually getting more views on his YouTube channel than someone like Gary V. And the reason for that is because whenever you see a Gary V video on YouTube, you're like, oh, I can skip that because I know that there's going to be another one tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if a video is only coming once a week, then you're like, oh, this is rare. This is a 1 hour or 30-minute video that like I need to sit down and watch this episode of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver because I only get to see it once a week. But all the other late night talk show hosts, like, they're on every Monday through Friday. Like, I can afford to miss one of those.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, so the fact of like the frequency, and then the fact of like there was never any distinction. So like what I was noticing, and even with some clients that would come to us from those like real repurposed like agencies, they would come to us and I would tell them like, hey, like your whole page looks the same, especially like on Instagram. I was like, your feed looks the same. I said, nobody wants to click on your stuff because it looks exactly like everything else. Nobody knows if it's different because it doesn't appear different.
Right.
It appears the same. I was like, why are you using the same quote card, especially the same look? Like, I'm like, why are you using the same look every week? Why they're like, oh, well, I want to create consistency. I was like, creating consistency doesn't mean doing the same. Creating consistency means creating a consistent look and feel that goes throughout everything that you do.
Yeah. I think that's, like, I even keep this in mind when I'm creating like YouTube thumbnails. Like, I don't want too many of my things to be blended together, but I have to keep in mind that like how people are seeing my stuff. Like, they might be seeing my stuff in a clutter of stuff on the like YouTube homepage. But at the same time, if everything, if like it goes that saying, like, if everyone, do you remember the movie The Incredibles? It there's that line from The Incredibles, like, when everyone is super, no one is. Exactly. Yeah.
And literally that is literally what the issue is with repurposing agencies. It's because you will go on the feeds of their clients and everything looks the same. And there's nothing that's going to make you want to click on it because it's that they're going to like, oh, the same thing. So the same thing. So like my page and my client's pages, you're like, oh my gosh, like, oh, that's different. That's different. Oh man. Oh, that's cool. Like, that's what they do because we create consistency with the look and feel, but nothing looks the same. And if it does look the same, it's so spread apart that you don't even notice it.
Absolutely. And so how do you, this is, we're going to get into a philosophical conversation here, but how do you keep a brand, like, how do you keep things that are on brand while also creating artistic diversity in there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, like, when the idea of keeping stuff on brand means keeping what I say is the brand voice consistent.
And what's a brand voice, Carrie?
So a brand voice is pretty much like the feeling and like the tone that your brand gives off. So for us, and what I hope it gives off, and this is funny, like I'll talk about that in a second, is what I hope it gives off is witty, bubbly, and professional. That's what I hope our brand gives off. But the thing about a brand, and this is why I tell people, like, you have to be careful, is a brand is the intrinsic being of what somebody feels about your product or your service.
Mm-hmm.
So you technically have no control on what the brand voice is. You just have to make sure that you do all you can do in your power to guide people that have the same goal that you have.
Got you. So it's like it goes back to that old saying, like your brand is the thing that people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
So if someone was, pardon me. So if someone was like listening to this right now, it's like, oh my god, I want to take Carrie's advice and like make my quote cards so they're not like I'm sure someone's listening to this and have like, oh my god, like my Instagram looks all the same. All my quote cards are like templated, all of the same because I used the
or
same.
you went on Creative Marketplace and got the same template that everybody else has.
You did the same thing on Placeit. You did the same thing on Canva. Like they're having that PTSD.
So I posted we posted a thing today on Instagram.
Today being April 9th for all of you future people. Hi.
Yes, April 9th. And what it said is your brand is it says your brand is a direct reflection of who you are. So the thing is, like, you have to be mindful of, like, why are you going to try to, like, there's nobody in the world like you.
Mm-hmm.
So why keep putting yourself in a bubble, in a box, as everybody else on social media?
So I'm going to put a pin in that as I ask my next question. Like there's ping. There's no one else in the world like you.
Mm-hmm.
So someone's listening to this and they're having PTSD, like all of my posts on Instagram, like all my quotes, like that's me. Like Carrie doesn't know it, but she's calling out me. All my quote cards, all my thumbnails on YouTube, they look the same. Like, what steps could what are the instructions? What steps could someone take right now to bring out their unique personality and like stop the painting their entire social media in one singular color?
And the thing is, like, you want to use the same colors, or you want to use your brand colors, but you want to use your colors.
That was more of a metaphor, but
yeah.
But yes. So,
what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna. It's easier for me just to show you than it's for me to tell you.
Are we getting a demonstration?
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up one of my clients. I'm gonna pull up one of my clients' thumbnails.
Awesome.
That we created for her.
Is this a YouTube thumbnail?
These are YouTube thumbnails.
Awesome. I don't know if you even have.
I feel like we always do screen share when we're together.
Ben. We do, because we're a couple of just computer nerds here.
Okay. So this is Britta. Britta, she has a show called The Beekeeper Series. Super amazing. So we just did her thumbnails. Actually, we pretty much did all of her show stuff this week. But if you look at all of these, they're the same brand, but everything has a different look and feel. That's not going to make you think that it's the same thing.
I am noticing that. So yeah, I'm noticing like the honeycomb thing, the bee king thing. Yep. Like I am noticing, like, from a design perspective that you're not using honeycombs in the design part in all of them. Sometimes you have a honeycomb picture that you're putting in the background.
Yep.
But is this made on Placeit?
No.
Okay.
We make all these ourselves. These are all custom.
Okay. So they're Photoshop?
Yes.
Okay. But it is kind of like, I am kind of noticing that, like, aspect of, like, it's not impossible that someone couldn't, like, use just use different Placeit templates, just use different Canva templates, and then mix up those.
But the thing is, you don't want to use, like, you want to be careful with Canva templates and even Placeit templates, because guess what? There's going to be somebody else that's going to use the same template.
Yeah.
So then you're going to look like everybody else again.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to add your own sprinkle on it to give it a different feel.
Yeah. Are you familiar with, like, the rule of thirds?
Yes.
Yeah, what I also noticed in there was that like she as a person was moving in all of those images that you showed me. Like for like first she's over here, now she's over here, and then she's at this top corner. Like she's still like within that comfortable like eye placement, but she's being moved so it changes up that variation in the image.
Yep.
And is that done intentionally, or is
Go
ahead.
What I think is like when it comes to the rule of thirds, the idea of it is that you want to be able to have the person to have at least a third of like the person in at least 1/3 of the space, and then your words are open space, because the idea is that you want to be able to let your design breathe and not be super cluttered and tight, because when stuff is cluttered and tight, actually what happens, it actually cheapens your brand. And that's why I tell a lot of people, you don't want to cheapen your brand by putting everything all over the place. You want to kind of be able to give it some room to breathe, and that's actually what the rule of thirds does, is to be able to give yourself room to breathe, so that you can have that appeasingness to the eye and actually that elevation, and it makes the brand actually come off more expensive.
Yeah, I absolutely. They all have that like nice. I think that from a graphic design perspective, it's important to be comfortable with empty space in your images, because it makes things seem like nice and clean, like you said, like nice and even, nice. Everything like is nice and evenly spaced, and nothing is too cramped in there, and everything is used like with the space that you have. Everything is used like nice and wisely. Go ahead.
I said, no, that's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah. So I forget what we actually like. What segue got us onto this conversation of talking?
I think we were talking about the reason about being who you. Oh, I don't. To be honest, I don't know.
We were talking about.
Oh no, we were in my story.
We were talking about art and authenticity. Then that led into your images, and we were talking about your story before that.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about your year.
Yeah.
So that was a 30-minute conversation.
I know. Sorry.
Oh no! Don't say sorry. They're still here.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And no matter where you are in time and space.
Oh, time and space. Time and space. But yeah. So like so that's what happened. So people kept coming to us and they kept asking us for content, and I was like, I can help you with content. I can at least help map it out and stuff. And our clients, pretty much, that's when she asked, was like, hey, if I can do your content, if you do my content, I'll do 2,000 downs, 1,500 a month. And I was like, so that's really when things kind of took off, especially the agent side. Cause at that moment, that was the first time that I had reoccurring revenue. And I didn't know what that would feel like until that time, because every other time I was always starting the month at 0. And I was always trying to figure out, okay, and I remember back then my goal was I just want to hit $5,000. So I was like, what can I do to hit $5,000 a month if I'm starting at 0? But then it came to, I'm starting at $4,000. My goal is only 5. Maybe I should raise my goal if I'm super close. Right. Okay. Let's do 7. And literally that's what it was. I was like, okay, let's do 10. Like, so that's literally what happened, is I just kept raising, because my reoccurring revenue created the baseline. So anything above that was just helping me get closer to the goal. And that's actually what happened to actually help us reach the 6 figures in our first year, because we were actually able to have that reoccurring revenue on top of the other stuff we were doing with our brand development and all the other stuff. Yeah.
So this is very interesting, is that I do find that when people set higher goals, it has a impact in that manner. Is that like when like I was talking to someone on Clubhouse about YouTube, is that their only goal was like to make like, oh, I want to make like partner, and then his goal was like he finally made partner on YouTube. And then after that, he noticed that his stats like started to drop. And like, Ben, do you know what like do you have any advice? Like what happened? Like, what I can do to start Make Partner? And my advice was like for him to set a higher goal, because what happened? Like he made partner, and then he didn't have any goals after this. So therefore, mentally and physically, he was done. And and that's also what happens. Like not just like mental goals, but also like financial goals, like you described. Like, well, I'm almost there. Maybe I should prepare for something higher. And if like we call back to the beginning of the show, hi people watching, I teased Carrie about like, oh man, I only had a 6-figure year. Some people have 6-figure months. So clearly Carrie's setting out here to have a 6-figure month, which is good, because now she's actually proactively planning to have a 6-figure month. And what happens?
My thing right here, it's funny. I'm touching it. Like our goal right now is to have 30K months.
Nice.
So that's our first goal. My plan and my wish and my prayer is to hit it by May. Have May be our first 30K month. So
all right,
right around the corner.
And again, it is April right now. It is April 9th. So you got about 4 weeks ish to hit this goal here. Is that correct?
Well, the end of May.
Oh, okay. So end of May.
Yeah.
I'm just taking notes here so I can note when to text you to see if you have a goal or not.
But no, that's the goal.
Why you like? It's not me. You're live on the internet right now.
I'm calling my shot like everybody else is doing right now.
You calling your shot, Marley?
I'm calling my shot.
Look what you did, like, Marley.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, what's really cool about it is like not even the fact of like the money, but if we do a 30K month, that means that 18 businesses will actually have like a launch assets that are actually going to have them converting clients. Like that means that they're actually going to be able to impact people. Like 18 businesses, if we do it, 18 businesses a month will be impacting people. That means that people like, what is it? I said 6 more. So 6 more people in their industry will be creating content that positions them not only as an expert, but also as a resource, to where their pages actually become the Google of like social media. Ooh. Who else is it? I'm trying to look. What is that? Two? That means 2 people will be able to have who sign up for our VIP days will be able to have clarity in their brand, to where they can actually go into momentum and they can actually make larger impacts, because they now know exactly who they serve, why they're serving them, and how to actually brand their business to be able to serve them the right way. Like, the money's cool, but the impact that like this can make is going to be crazy.
Yeah. So with your offer, like you're not even there is the money aspect that's coming from it, but it's also the ripple effect that's coming from it as well. Future Ben can cut right here as he's editing this in the future. Say like, hey, internet, this was Carrie calling her shot.
But no, so like that's what I think about when I look at these numbers. It's not the fact of like, oh, Carrie, I want to hit 30K because I want to be like rolling in this money. I want to be able.
I mean, that's not bad.
It's kind of cool. But the biggest thing is like, I want to be able to like have conversations. And it's funny because I put like, I want to have 15 conversations per month. Like, we do a brand clarity call, and in those calls, like, it's really not about selling. It's really about being able to provide some type of quick wins and clarity for people who jump on the call. So what we said is like, if we talk to 56 people, we'll hit this goal. So even if those people have that call and they don't sign up, they still left with clarity and some wins to be able to implement in their business right now to prepare them for those next steps.
And if someone wanted to have one of these brand clarity calls and take you up on these actionable steps, where would they go?
Brandclaritycall.com.
Do not mock my stick like
BrandClarityCall.com. Yeah, I got real. I'm not gonna lie. I was super happy that it was available. I was like, oh yeah, just go to BrandClarityCall.com. But yeah, no, and it's like, so that's what I'm excited about. And it's just like, I see my clients, like Britta, I just showed you. Literally, she had 6,000 followers like 2 weeks ago. Literally 2 weeks ago. Let me see how many she has now. It's crazy.
We're checking it.
Cause I have to give you because I'll be like, girl, she's at 22,000.
That's what we're talking about. So I wanna circle back here. I still got my stick mic. What the topic of the conversation here from the top of the show was like, how'd you go from A to B in the year 2020? Like how'd you build this 6-figure business? I want to ask you about like big epiphanies here.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about price. I want to talk about your actual strategies. And that being said, like still sticking within the realm of mindset, like, oh hey, like you've always been the graphic person. But was there a moment when you said like, oh hey, like, am I really the person that can get her to like fit to like that insane number of followers, as she's probably grown further in the future for future people listening to this?
Yeah.
But like, have you ever thought like, am I really the person that can like do that? Like, what, like, was there that thought, and how'd you escape and then accomplish these numbers?
I think I would say a couple things. Like, there's a couple shifts that I had to make. Well, with so we do brand development, and she was actually she was our second person that we brought in for brand development in the business. And she came to me and she said, Carrie, I really want to become an influencer. I really want to be able I want to coach. I want to be able to like help women to like gain confidence and also look good and things like that. And I was like, okay, like I knew I could help her, but I wasn't. I knew I could help her because I've done it before. Like I've done it. If I can do it for restaurants, I can do it for people. So I knew I could help her, but I just wasn't sure, like the process. I wasn't sure on the process. Like I knew, like I had my own steps in my head. Like I had my own steps of like, these are going to be steps, but it wasn't a framework or a process. It was like,
you had an idea, but it wasn't established yet.
Do the things. So like literally, like we built her brand from an idea of what she wanted to a brand that people recognize, that people know, people trust her. Like she'll get messages and be like, oh my gosh, Britta, like you've impacted me so much. Like seeing you and like seeing that there was amazing. Like, and I think for me, it's like being able to give them, like my clients, the confidence to be able to serve boldly and confidently, because now they have a brand, that they have the brand strategy and they have the visuals that they're proud of, that they can show up and they can dominate, and they can dominate in their areas and be loud and bold and all the things. Like that for me was like gold. Like one of my clients, RJ, he did his first 6 figures last year, selling a $97 product with no ads.
Oh, tell me more.
Yeah, like he sells a $97 course teaching people how to trade, to do swing trading. He came to me with nothing. He came to me with a course that he created. He had no marketing strategy. He had no websites. He had nothing. He just said, Carrie, I want to sell this course, but I don't know how to do it. We created him a Facebook group. I think his Facebook group has like 7,000 people in it now. Like the course sells itself. Like he's starting another program right now that he asked me to help him with. And it's literally all of it is based on building relationships and actually doing the work. And I think for me, like that was like, it was two things. One, I realized that selling isn't hard if you just have conversations.
Absolutely. Like,
and I think that was
like we're having right now.
Huh?
Like we're having right now, would you say?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I didn't realize, because like when people are like, okay, you know, you got to do these sales calls and you have to do all these things, and I was like, I don't want to be like, hey, do you want to buy my thing? Like I didn't want to do that. Like I wanted to be able to have conversations with people, provide them with quick wins. And a lot of times what happens is they'll ask me, hey, Carrie, like, what's the next steps? How can we work with, like, how can I work with you? Yeah. And then I say, oh, well, you know, I have this, this, and this. But I created a brand, and it's now it's solidified with how we teach. But I created a brand that's frictionless. And that's why even with like our show, which is frictionless branding, is how do we help our clients create premium brands that creates frictionless sales? Because we help them position themselves in a way that their ideal client feels like they're talking to them directly. So of course they're going to say yes to whatever you put out. And that's what we did. And I didn't know that's what we were doing, but we were tapping into our brand. We were tapping into our brand archetype. We were tapping into like how to actually just be real human beings and not being these internet marketers of the world. And when I did that, everything became so much easier. Now I'm not going to say that this was a cakewalk. I'm not going to say that. There was a lot of sad nights of me like saying like, can I do this? Do I want to do this? And now I feel like it's worse because like I'm just like I pay $7,000 in labor, and I'm like every 2 weeks I'm looking at them like, y'all want to get paid again?
Yeah, it's funny how you talk like the brand. I want to hit on the brand archetype because this reminds me of like we had a conversation just earlier this week before we went live for the game show. Mm-hmm. The conversation that happens behind the curtain about how like sometimes like the mistake that sometimes we'll make when we hire like phone salesmen or like high ticket salesmen that don't align with our brand and with our values, and like sometimes they'll close sales for us and like we'll see numbers, but there are other times when that can be detrimental. And I've definitely have had that happen for me when like I've been on the phone conversations with like people's salesmen, and it left a negative impact because that like the strategies that they were using were different than like the person that I had come to know individually.
Mm-hmm. No, and it's funny because like me and my integrator Amber, we were talking about possibly doing something like that, and I told her, I was like, I don't know what that would look like because I would have to find somebody that could embody Carrie.
Yeah.
Because the thing is like our clients come to us because they're like, one, I feel like Carrie and her team will understand what I'm doing and what I'm trying to accomplish. And it's like, so it's like, I don't know if I'm like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I would have to find somebody, one, like literally what I told Amber, I was like, I think you're going to have to learn how to do some discovery calls. And she was like, I'm not. I was like, so right now she's doing all the onboarding, so then I don't have to do those calls. But I'm just like, man, like, oh, because sometimes like I want to be able to.
You said discovery call like it was a colonoscopy.
Yeah, I was like, you're gonna do the discovery calls, okay? And she was like, because it's like our brand curly calls, and she was like, here, I'm not doing those. Because the thing is, she knows that like on those calls, it's not like, hey, tell me about your business, tell me how we can help you, because that's not what it is. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, let's talk about your brand. Tell me the issues that you're having. Let's figure out some stuff that we can do right now to make some differences.
Right.
And she was like, here, I can't do that yet. Like, I can't do that. She was like, because, and it's like, but like literally one time I was on a call with somebody and we mapped out her, like she was trying to figure out like, how is she going to combine her services, because she felt like she had all these different brands. So literally we mapped out her value ladder and put everything under, we mapped out her value ladder on her discovery call, put her brand under one umbrella on her discovery call. And she decided to work with us, but like I was expecting her to work with us. Like I wasn't even I was like, but that's just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
like what we do is like, how can we help you move to the next step, even if you're not ready right now?
Right. I always equate this to like you're phrasing it as in a different way, but I've always said it as like you can't fake like actually caring for people.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to, is that like you can like, there's tens of thousands of different YouTube videos out there that you can look up on, like, okay, here's the script, here's what you say when this person says this, here's how you phrase a pain point when they say this, here's when you hang up the phone when they say this, here's the follow-up emails, that but you can't fake genuinely caring about your audience.
Yeah.
And I think that that's largely like what I've heard you describe in both of our interviews, is that like you genuinely listening and like modify, like hearing people's problems is something that you can't fake. A new story that I don't think I've told you since we last spoke. Yes, I have a new story for you.
New stories.
I know. It. I was down here working, and my dad came to me and said, "Ben, I require your assistance." And it's like, what can I assist you with today, Dad? I know, and I mean, like, this is gonna be something. I need your help downloading a video game on the PlayStation 4. Like, okay, Dad, there's tens of thousands, like there's hundreds upon hundreds of YouTube videos that you could look up to explain this exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you know how to use YouTube, but you need to come to me and know how to do this. And on top of that, I know I've shown him how to do this before. So, but he still needs to come to me to do this. And so I show him how to do this. It's like, okay, make sure your payment information is in there. Yep. Download. You hit the download button. It's easier than actually downloading something on the regular computer. And I kid you not, this was the event that gave me the epiphany I needed, because I realized at that moment, like when the hamster is slowing down in my head, it's like, oh my God, you're my customer avatar.
Mm-hmm.
You're the person that like needs my help. It's like and all I did from that point on, it's like, all I need to do is make sure that like every single piece of material that I make and every single post, it's for my dad.
Yeah.
As long as it could help my dad, if it could help someone like my dad, then that's who it's for.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And the thing is, like, when you think about it that way, I think for me, like, who's my person? I probably would say Lindsay. Like, I try to, like, everything we create, I try to frame it around how would Lindsay won't like it, or how would Lindsay want us to kind of put it out there. So, like, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you watched it, but I did a brand evolution with Lindsay.
You should totally send it to me, so I can put it in the description of this YouTube video later.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Like, we did a brand evolution on the Frictionless Branding Show, and we went through her brand, and it was like from like before, where it was like brand shame. And it's funny because like that's kind of where like my messaging and how I communicate stuff, like I got from Lindsay, because Lindsay was like, Carrie, like I hate my brand. Like when she was like, I hate it. I don't want to show anybody anything. I don't want to like, I don't even want to I don't want to do podcast interviews. I don't want to do anything, because I don't want them to ask me, can I have your social media handle? Can I have your website?
That's a feeling. That's a feeling, and it's a feeling of like like digging a hole, and like, and I should probably get out of this hole, but it's easier just to keep digging.
Yeah. And so literally, like Lindsay, she was like, Carrie, like, and literally this is what she said. She was like, Carrie, like, because most of our clients, they're making money. Mm-hmm. They're not struggling to make money. They just have a sucky brand. Everybody knows it. They're experts in their area, but people outside it don't really believe it. And they want to do more, but they can't figure out how to, because they have a sucky brand. So we cleaned up her brand. We created a whole new brand look and aesthetic and feeling, emotion, all the things, right? Literally, we start like not even out. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Carrie, I'm so excited. I feel so confident." And I'm like, "Okay." She was like, "I'm hiring a PR agency." I'm like, "Okay." Like, she's doing interviews. She's like, "Carrie, like, post some stuff on the page." Like,
wow.
she's just like, she gets so excited. She got so excited. And she literally, like, at that moment, she showed up as a person that everyone around her knew she was, but everyone around her, like her audience knew who she was, but no one else did. And the moment when everybody realized that she really was the expert, they were like, "Oh my gosh, Lindsay, I knew you were amazing. I didn't know you were this amazing."
And this was Lindsay who now?
Lindsay Mustang.
She was a previous guest on our show, and she is absolutely a gift to the world.
She is. She is. She definitely is. Love her to pieces.
Oh yeah, we have a big heart here for Lindsay.
Yeah, but yeah, so like she was at that moment, and like she starts showing up. Like she just starts showing up differently, and that's what she kept telling me. She was like, "Carrie, like I show up different now. Like I don't do the same things that I used to do. Like I want to make like," she was like, "I want to make sure that I'm ready when I come on social media or when I come places, because it's like I'm a representation of my brand." Even though she knew that before, which is crazy. She knew all that before. And then she was like, "You know what, Carrie? I think I'm ready to go premium." But it took her to finally have a brand that she was proud of, to where she was able to serve boldly and confidently to say, "I'm ready for a premium brand." So now she's like, "Carrie, I'm ready to sell a $300,000 offer." And I'm like, "Oh yeah? That's what we doing?"
Oh.
Okay. But she was like, "I need my brand to match it."
So it almost goes back into what we've been talking about before, of like, oh hey, like went like, oh like, so you sell 1,500. Okay, I'm not quite ready there yet, but I'm there at 650. But she, like, all the other elements needed to be in place for like when you're ready for that 1,500. And so like all the other chess pieces needed to be in place until that person was ready for the 30K offer, for the 100K offer, for those other price points. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we build her brand again. So that's her new brand that you've seen out now. It looks amazing. She shows up so luxe, so premium, and like she shows up like her even her hair color is different. It's all luxy feeling, and I'm like, "Okay, Liz, all right." And it's interesting. It's interesting. I tell people, like, building brands for us is way more than just like the strategy and the visuals. It's the way that our clients show up after we build that brand. Like they show up differently. Like I remember, so I was having the same conversation with one of our clients, and he was like, when I was telling him, I was like, "Come on now, like, you know you need to be doing more." And he's like, "I know, Carrie, I know." I'm like, "So why aren't you?" And he's like, "Well, you know, like, be honest." And I was like, "Why aren't you doing more? Why aren't you doing more podcasts?" Why? He was like, I was like, "Because you don't like your brand." He said, "Yeah." I said, "So let's get it together then." And now he's like, "Oh, I'm about to do this. I'm about to do that. I'm about to do." But that's what our clients are like. And for us, like, because we work with impact-driven entrepreneurs, the whole thing that we always try to do is like, how can we make our clients serve more people? How can we elevate them so they can do more? And we have the philosophy that we say is helping good people help good people. That's what we do. We build brands for amazing people so that they can go impact amazing people.
And so how, like, you've talked about this like transformation. And I want to close out with this question: is that, like, how would you describe this almost like going from zero to hero transformation? Like, but like, like how, like what would you describe that process as like? Because like they're obviously like not swallowing a magic pill that you're giving them. Like they're obviously like doing something. Like you have a repeatable process that you're doing something them with. What's the magic Carrie sauce that you're transforming people through that gets them to suddenly glow to get the Lindsay glow that we saw on a previous episode of My Cool Friends? Plug.
Oh my gosh, I gotta watch that. I didn't know she had did it.
Yeah, she was like, Ben, I'm going to be on My Cool Friends.
She's so adorable. I love her. I think the biggest piece is, I would say the piece that changes people is our clarity time. Like, is our brand clarity. Especially like if you go through our full brand clarity, it's because not only do you get clear about like who you serve at that innate and emotional level, because it's different from saying, hey, I serve these people, to actually knowing like who they are emotionally, like understanding that piece about them. So I would say that, and then when we start really diving into like their archetypes and like how to actually spread that brand voice in a way that is uniquely to your ideal clients and to you, makes them stand up and they're like, oh, like one of our clients, Minders, we started working together last month, literally within this month. So Minders was not active on social media at all. Wasn't super active. So he would do a couple lives here and there, but not super active on social media. Literally Minders, he also signed up for a coaching program too that I'm in, but he also started his show. He's done 2 weeks of his show. He has he just did a live workshop this week. He's doing weekly clubhouse rooms. He's doing all of these things that he was never doing before, because he has that clarity and he knows exactly what he needs to do to be able to serve his people.
Wow. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us for this return episode of My Cool Friends.
You got to see the two versions of Carrie.
I know, we got to see Carrie's transformation. I have only one question. Where can people find you on your social media and your branding?
So you can always visit us at connectwithsolasta.com, or you can go visit Branding with Carrie and check me out on Instagram.
Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to catch Carrie on all of those wonderful social media platforms. You can find me at these lovely social media platforms down below. I'm Benny Big on Facebook, Ace of Trophies, all over on the Twitterverse, and Ben Ebig at or Platinum Mastermind over on YouTube. I am just now realizing I should probably put a Clubhouse down there.
And where's Instagram?
See, here's the thing though, is that I made this graphic before Clubhouse was a thing. So Clubhouse is not on the graphic below. And Instagram? No one cared about Instagram before Clubhouse was a thing.
That is not true. People always cared about Instagram. You just didn't care about Instagram.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Men didn't care about Instagram before Clubhouse was a thing. Certainly no one was looking at my Instagram before Clubhouse was a thing. And so I guess now I have to put my Instagram and whatnot on there. It's just I'm not gonna have a strip anymore. I'm just gonna have like a block of like follow me on follow me on all these places. It's gonna
all
go
the places.
Catch me on my Snapchat and all these other things. Follow me on TikTok.
Get me on TikTok. Get me on the Sniz
app. We're also, on top of that, we're also going to be having a challenge that's going to be coming out soon. I'm having late night study sessions with Michaela Prince to create our challenge, and that's going to be coming out in the coming months. We don't have a date that is going to be announced, but that will be announced soon. So, and if it's up now for all you lovely people that are watching me in the future, then that means it is in the link to it is going to be in the description below. So lucky you. Until then, we will be back next week for another special episode. Until then, be sure to stay safe and stay healthy. Goodbye, everybody.